Being featured is brought to you by Lucky Horseshoe, A&R Electrical Services, and Patient Spirit Productions.
My guest being featured today is a mentor. She's responsible for creating many shows in Canada, and now she is in Barbados, and she is the producer of the Honey Jam Barbados show. Her name is Ebonnie Rowe. Ebonnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me the impetus or the push behind you getting into the whole vibe of mentoring, especially young people and young females.
In the early 90s in Canada, a few of my girlfriends committed suicide. They were in their 20s, and at that time I was studying at the University of Toronto, and it had a huge impact on my life, and I dropped out at that time because it just didn't seem important to be studying Shakespeare when I felt I could be doing something more impactful. So usually when you lose someone, it's a life-changing experience, and you start to think about your own mortality, and you think, what if I were to be gone today? What has been my legacy? What has been my purpose? What has been my point of being on the earth? So at that time I decided I want to make a mark and do something. Prior to that, my parents were always very community-minded, so I'd always done volunteer work in the community. But this time I decided to start something myself that I would have control over. I started the Each One Teach One mentoring program, which was a profession-based program combating negative stereotypes and linking up young Black students with Black professionals who were succeeding in the careers that they wanted to be in. So I started hanging out with teenagers. They were all listening to gangster rap, and there was a lot of misogyny in there. So my teenage female mentees would tell me that their younger brothers were calling them the B word and hoe and that sort of thing because they had heard it in these songs, which at that time they didn't have to have clean versions for college radio. So in the middle of the day, lunch hour, these kids are hearing this on the radio. So I approached a DJ about that, and he said, well, come on my show, talk about it. He gave me the entire show to produce, and so that's what I did. Some editors of a magazine were listening to that, asked me to do an all-female issue of their magazine. I did that, and the rap party was called Honey Jam. It was supposed to be a one-off, so it featured all female artists, and then at the end, everyone was like, when's the next one? This is great. And I was like, what do you mean? I run a mentoring program, and I'm a legal assistant by day. This isn't what I do. But it was really popular. There wasn't anything like it. And so when I went home that night, I thought, let me try this. Maybe I'll do it for a year or so and see what happens. And we are now 19 years in Canada. And this is our 4th year in Barbados. Because my family is from Barbados, I went to school here, I have Barbadian citizenship. I'd always wanted to do it here as well, so that's why I brought it here.
Okay, and talk about the first show, the first Honey Jam show. Take us back to that.
I had wanted to do it here for many years. There were a lot of obstacles. The expense was the first thing, and trying to get sponsorship. But I went to an event called Iron Sharpen Iron that happened at Pablo Dante's in Maxwell, and I just loved the vibe, and I thought, this is the Honey Jam audience. I think I'm ready. I think this is the way. And so I asked Adrian Green and DJ Simmons to kind of co-sign for me and present the concept. So we partnered together on the first one in February of 2011. No money, no advertising, nobody had heard of it. So through Facebook, we promoted it, and the place that we held it in, 100 people comfortably, and about 500 or more people showed up. So I thought, okay, I think they like it. One of the things I was worried about was, because Honey Jam is about all different genres of music, right? Hip hop, opera, jazz, gospel, blues, rock, alternative, reggae, everything. And Barbados, the most popular music is soca and dancehall, and I thought, if I'm going to do Honey Jam, it needs to be the same as the brand that I've built in Canada. And will I be able to find that? And I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to find so much variety, the same type of variety that I have in Canada. So that was a pleasant surprise. And the quality of the artists, and not just, a patronizing, oh, that's good for Barbados, but good on an international standard. So I was wowed by that, especially because they are not the same performance opportunities here that you find in North America. So there's not a lot of places for them to hone their skills. So then I thought, imagine if they have those performance opportunities here to get better and better and better, then it would be a serious threat. And everyone who comes to Barbados, the panelists that I bring up, always mention how impressed they are with the level of talent that's here.
Okay, and you also have workshops happening.
Absolutely.
Songwriting. You could take us through what's happening with those workshops.
The developmental aspect of Honey Jam is extremely important. I tell the artists that talent is such a small part of any artist's success. If it was just about talent, we would have 5 million internationally known superstars, because there are 1 million people who are talented. And you see that when you see some of these idol shows or Got Talent shows, and somebody who's the garbage man can sing like Pavarotti. There's no shortage of people who are talented. You have to give yourself as much ammunition as possible to stand above all of the other competition, because there's so many people who are looking for your spot. So, but also, just like any profession that you want to be in, you study, you learn, you hone your skills, you find out as much about that profession as possible. So if you want to be a doctor, you don't just want to look good in your hospital gown. There's so much more stuff that you need to know. So that's an important part. Obviously, we can't give them the years of experience. We can't do the pay your dues part for them, but we try to decide on topics that will help them, that can have an impact in the short amount of time that we have with them. So touring and live performance is key. That's what gets you noticed by people who are going to help you in your career. That's what gets you noticed by your fan base. Honey Jam is a live show. You've got to be good live. So we bring up an internationally known vocal and performance coach, and she puts the artists through their paces, teaches them breathing techniques, how to hold a mic, how to connect with an audience, how to connect with the song, how to choose the right song for your voice, choose the right key to sing that song in, how to work the stage, all of those really important things. How you might need to rest your voice on the day of a performance, singing while on a treadmill, so that if you're dancing in your performance, you're not going to be huffing and puffing, and you're going to be able to deal with that. What types of things to not drink, to not eat, what to do if you have a cold. So many things are a part of vocal and performance training. So that's essential. Songwriting, so key and so lucrative. If you're good at it, you can live off of one song. So we do a songwriting workshop, and within that workshop, you also learn about publishing, copyright, co-writing, placing your songs in films, that sort of thing. Then we do a workshop called Getting Your Music Off the Rock, because that's the whole point. You don't want to just be famous in Barbados. You want your music to get out to the world. So this is kind of a general music industry workshop and giving you specific tools on how to do that. So it's 3 workshops.
And talk about being aware of the music business, getting knowledge of what's going on in the business of music and entertainment. Because you know, a lot of people just see it looks pretty, see a person on the stage, but they don't really understand what goes into getting that final product.
and how much work it is and how much sacrifice it is. You know, sacrificing time with your friends, sacrificing time with your family, being away from them for long periods of time. And that's why I say don't do this unless you cannot not do it. You have to be so driven, and that will get you through during the times that are rough, because there are going to be a number of times that are rough. So yeah, be prepared. Read autobiographies of people who have succeeded and whose careers you admire. Decide what you are willing to do to achieve the level of success that you want. Decide what level of success that you want and what you will not do, and stand by your principle, because you are going to be asked to do things that maybe will challenge your integrity, will challenge your honesty, your authenticity. The internet is forever and is unforgiving. And so if you do that, people are going to remember. So just do some soul searching. If you want to have a career that is spanning, 20 years, then that's going to take a certain amount of work and sacrifice. If you want to have homes in several countries around the world, that's going to take certain things. What are you willing to do in terms of, will you license your music for a commercial, for a dancing chocolate bar, right? There's a lot of decisions that you have to make. Keep people around you who know more than you, and be willing to take constructive criticism, which is also an issue that I find a lot here on the island, where people get their backs up because very few people speak plainly or speak honestly. They might say stuff behind your back or type stuff on Facebook, but they won't come up to you personally and say what they have to say, which is very cowardly. But I don't have an issue with just being straight up. And so when people aren't used to that, and everyone else just tells them how great they are. And then I might say, well, this part was good, but you need to work on this and blah, blah, blah. And then their face gets pushed up and, oh, Ebonnie spoke to me hard and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you thought that was hard, spend some time in New York, in the cutthroat, competitive industry. You have to get ready for the real world. And when you are getting constructive criticism from someone, consider the source and consider, well, why are they telling me this? Do they have experience and expertise? Should I take them seriously? Do they have something against me? And if so, why would they have anything against me? Like actually think it through before you jump to the conclusion that what they're saying does not have any validity because you perceive that it's from some sort of malicious place or jealous place. And not that there aren't malicious and jealous people, there are lots of those people in the world, but you have to be able to cut through and know who is who, and have a team around you that's not just going to be yes men that tell you what you want to hear. You're never going to grow that way. You have to be challenged, challenge yourself, and the person that you are in competition with is yourself, is who you were yesterday, who you were 5 minutes ago. You're always trying to, or you should always be trying to be better in all ways.
Ebonnie, I want to thank you very much for passing through. And before we finish, I want you to tell everyone about Honey Jam 2014 and where they could check it out, where you get tickets, everything.
Okay. Honey Jam concert is coming up on Saturday, November the 8th at Frank Colliner Hall. Doors open at 7, showtime 8 p.m. sharp. Go to honeyjambarbados.com. You can get all the information from there. You can see the photos and bios of all of the artists. It's going to be a fantastic show. Don't miss it. Support your local artists. Everyone's talking about there needs to be more radio play for local artists. We need this and that for local artists. Let's keep the home fires burning and start off here. They also need your support and encouragement and applause. So I hope everybody will come out. We've all worked very hard to put it all together, so I'm so excited.